What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to discuss, I think people are investing the wrong way into KEEL Infrastructure. And I'm going to back it by some polls that I ran. I ran a poll on YouTube, in the YouTube community, and then I ran a poll also on Twitter. And I'll post those up here as we go along so you guys can kind of see the results. But I want to go over the results. And when I say people are investing in KEEL the wrong way, I don't mean like they're not believing in KEEL or anything like that. They're just, some of these investors are, the mindset of them investing in a company like KEEL Infrastructure is just not the right way. And I'm going to kind of prove that in today's video because it's kind of interesting how these polls turned out. So first off, I ran the poll on YouTube saying, if you're invested in KEEL Infrastructure, how long do you plan to hold it? And I'm just doing this to get a gauge on, because if you see somebody that's willing to hold for years, then you can kind of understand how they view KEEL, right? How they view their thesis on KEEL. If you see somebody investing in it for a couple of months, they're in it to try to make a quick flip. They're in it, trying to buy in and then sell off on some kind of news, right? So they're investing in KEEL, and then once KEEL announces a lease deal and it pumps, they're going to sell out. That's the kind of investors that are only investing for months. And then you have the people that are invested in it for a couple of weeks, and those are just your quick flippers trying to, swing trade the stock. But anyway, so the YouTube poll, I'm going to post it up here on the screen. 67% of people that voted that they are holding for years. So that's good to see. The majority in both of these polls are people that have the long-term mindset, that are, everything that I've said here on the channel is, links to that holding for year territory. 31%, which is a lot bigger number than I expected, are only holding for months. And then coming in at the rear, 2% of people are holding for weeks. So it's an interesting spread, right? It's good to see that the majority is, long-term mindset. Because look, guys, KEEL Infrastructure is not a name where they can deliver in just a couple of months, right? This is a company that is completely rebuilding their entire business. And they are just now in the stages of decommissioning their old business. Build-outs like this does not take weeks. Build-outs like this does not take months. Yes, you can see price swings on news and updates and stuff like that, which a lot of these people that are invested for months and weeks, that's what they're invested for. They're invested for a little bit of gains, right? Maybe a 20, 30% move. They're happy. They're going to sell out and take profits and try to probably buy back lower. Those are traders, right? If you're invested for a couple of months or weeks, you're a trader because you're waiting for a decent move to sell out. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that becomes wrong in that situation is when there's people in the comments saying, oh, well, I expect them to do this. I expect them to do that, so fast, which they're just impatient. When you're invested in a company that's completely tearing down their old business and rebuilding a new business, you have to give them time. Building a AI, HPC data center infrastructure at multiple different sites is going to take years if you want your full thesis to play out. Again, if you're just in it to make a couple of percent gains, that's fine. But if you're in KEEL Infrastructure to potentially make life-changing gains, holding it a couple of months, it ain't going to happen, right? It is not going to happen. Unless you already have that amount of money, like a lot amount of money to put in, and a 50% gain on $1 million is a pretty good return, right? But for the majority of us, we don't have it like that. I know a lot of people do, right? I know a lot of people do. But a majority of us invested in KEEL are here to potentially make life-changing money if our thesis is correct. And here's the thing. I don't place many bets in the stock market. So I got my holdings, and most of my holdings are in ETFs, long-term ETFs. But then I pick out like one or two names that I fully, have conviction, because you don't want to have a portfolio full of like 50, 60, 70 names where money's just scattered across everything. When you're trying to make life-changing money, you want concentration, right? You want concentration. You don't want it all diversified out into hundreds of different names that, it's just not worth it, in my opinion. It's just not worth it when you could, really focus your research and dial in on one company or a couple of companies and fully devote your attention there. But anyway, let's move to the X poll. So popping up the X poll here. So 74% of people, which is higher than YouTube, are holding for years. 18%, which is lower than YouTube, is holding for months. And then this is where I got caught off guard by this. Almost 10% of people on X are holding for weeks. So it's just an interesting stat to see. It's interesting to see. And look, man, every investor has their own investing style, right? And the way I preach about investing in KEEL Infrastructure isn't going to be the right way for this person or this person or this person. I'm speaking to a specific type of investor with my videos, right? I'm speaking to the buy and hold investor. I'm not speaking to the look at the market every day, look at what KEEL's doing every day, analyzing the charts, analyzing the RSIs, analyzing the Fibonacci levels. That's not what I'm doing. If that's what you do, by all means, that's great. Enjoy trading. Hopefully you're successful with your trading. And you can be successful on small names like this because they're very volatile. So I understand it. But you can't also, coming out disappointed when it's only been a couple of weeks and they haven't done what you expected them to do, right? That's what really is a big contradiction on itself. You have the people in here expecting them, holding for a couple of weeks, expecting them to build data centers in a month. It just doesn't work that way. If that's how you think, you need to invest in a different name. KEEL Infrastructure is a name that you need to hold for years if you want to see the thesis play out fully. Like, that's just how it is. But going back to the polls, and like I said, it's very good to see 67% on YouTube and 74% on X are long-term holders, right? Which I can always tell in the comments as well. Like, most people are invested into KEEL for the long term. At least they say they are, until they get a little bit of bad news, and then you have what happened last week when everybody started freaking out because they didn't hear the updates they wanted to hear, right? That's another thing, right? You have all these people that are saying, oh, I'm invested in KEEL for, I'm letting my thesis play out. Nothing's going to make me sell. Nothing's going to make me do this. And then they get shook when they see fear in the market. When you see fear in the market, you need to, train yourself and be comfortable buying that fear. And that's where having very, very, very strong conviction in a company really comes into place. Because if you don't have any belief in yourself choosing companies, if you don't have any conviction or any belief in the company's vision, then you're not going to be able to buy fear. And when you're not going to be able to buy a stock that's dropping 30%, right? It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just human psychology. People love to buy the tops and sell the bottoms. But when you zoom out and when you really look at the investing game, it is so overly whelmingly simple. If you just build your conviction, do your research, buy the shares, and just tuck them away, guys. Tuck them away. Stop opening your brokerage account every 30 minutes. Stop opening your brokerage account every day, every, couple of days. Set a plan to where maybe once a week, at the end of the week on Fridays or, at the beginning of the week on Mondays, open the portfolio, check it out, see what's happening, and go from there. When you're watching this thing every single day, especially in a name like KEEL Infrastructure, with how volatile it is, these moves can really make you make rational decisions on a dime and make you sell out because you're uncomfortable. But if you only open your brokerage account once a week, you don't see all these moves, right? You might hear about them online, watching my videos or whatever, but you don't physically see the number in your portfolio going up or down. And this can happen on the flip side too. So when KEEL does pump, people will see a gain. People will see, oh, I'm up this amount, I'm going to sell. But then that caps your upside. That's why this is so difficult. That's why getting multiples on your money is so difficult, because when people see green, they want to take profits and sell. And that's a good thing. When when you make an investment, you want to outline a plan. This is huge. You don't want to blindly invest in something without a plan. So when you invest, it's good to have milestones. Like, okay, well, if it gets to here, I'm going to take this much off. If it gets to here, I'm going to take this much off. But you don't want to completely liquidate your entire position if you're invested in something wanting to make multiples, right? You don't want to liquidate your entire position. It's good to scrape a little off the top and maybe dump it into one of your safer investments, or maybe hold it liquid cash until maybe KEEL will drop a little bit and you can buy back in, right? But you never want to liquidate your entire position unless you're trying to get out of the name fully, unless your thesis changes, unless your thesis gets broken. But I really want to stress that, like, having a plan when you're invested in stuff, it makes it so much more simple. And that's what really has helped me along the way. Because when I first started investing, man, I was opening my brokerage account every hour, every 30 minutes to see, oh, am I up a couple of dollars? Am I, what's the market doing? What's this? What's that? And I was just losing money left and right because I would make so many quick decisions, I would expect the market to do way more than, in reality that it could. I was expecting it to go up 5x in a month, right? When I finally realized what the hell I was doing, now I rarely open my brokerage account, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. It just depends on, if I'm managing some of my options, or I'm putting in limit orders, or I'm, buying ETFs or whatever, or buying more KEEL Infrastructure. Maybe twice a week I'll open it and look at it. But that has helped me tremendously along the way, is just stop touching the fucking brokerage app. When you make an investment for the long term and you want to make multiples on your money and you are very convicted in that company, buy the shares, put them away. If you even have to open a separate brokerage account for your, long-term plays, higher risk plays, do that and put your money in, make your investments, and delete the damn app off your phone so you don't even look at it. And years from now, if KEEL has done what they have promised us, you're going to come back, you're going to re-download that app, you're going to open that app, and KEEL, maybe one day we'll see KEEL at 20, 30 bucks. And you're going to be like, holy shit, I'm so glad I put the phone away. Because if I didn't, or I deleted the app, because if you didn't, you would have sold on the way up and would not have nowhere near as much money as you do now. And that's huge. That is massive. So I really just want to nail that point home, man. I see people, that's the whole reason I ran these polls, just to get a gauge. And I see people selling themselves short. And I don't want them to do that. It's not that I'm coming on here picking on people's investment style for investing in it for a couple of weeks. I'm not doing that, right? I just want you to understand what your investment plan is. If you're a trader, 100% fine. But if you're a long-term investor expecting KEEL Infrastructure to deliver things in a couple of months, it's not going to happen, right? Yes, we're supposed to get some lease agreements announced sometime this year, and that's what a lot of people are in KEEL Infrastructure right now for, right? That's what the majority of people are in it for, is they're investing for that one lease deal. The difference between me and those people are, I'm invested for multiple lease deals. I'm invested for power expansion. I'm invested for the entire thesis to play out. Because once KEEL announces one lease deal, yes, it's going to be great for the company. It's going to be great for the stock. After they announce that, they're still not going to have any revenue coming in, and for at least a year, right? And for the market to start seeing that revenue, that's when the re-rate is going to officially take place, is when the market finally sees KEEL Infrastructure bringing in sustainable revenue, announcing these big deals, announcing big expansion. That's when this thing is going to get re-rated. It's not going to get re-rated off of one lease deal. That's just not going to happen. You're going to have to need multiple lease deals. You're going to have to need, multiple millions in revenue coming in. You can't be negative every quarter. You can't be bleeding money every quarter. So you have to give the company time. And I really do think that they will be there. They will be positive. They will be making revenue. They will have multiple lease deals signed by the end of 2027. That is their goal. That is their timeline. They have told us that multiple times. And they have also said multiple times that they are on track to deliver that. And then you have the people out here that are just like making a conspiracy theory out of everything Ben says, and I don't understand it. Like some people, and I say this in a lot of my videos here lately, some people think that KEEL Infrastructure is not even building data centers. They think they're just telling investors that to buy more time. Guys, come on, man. Stop making a conspiracy theory out of everything Ben says. Sometimes in this world, people are actually being truthful. Not everything is a big conspiracy theory. Not everybody is out to get you. Unfortunately, that has what the world has come to, is it's out, everybody against each other. But sometimes there are people out here that are actually honest and they're actually doing admirable things. Not everything is a scam. Not everything is a conspiracy theory. Like, some people get so wrapped up in that they're only damaging their own investments. And it's a shame to see. Because you can get so blinded by the negativity that you can't actually see the good that the company is trying to achieve. And in my opinion, KEEL Infrastructure is a company that is trying to do great things. And I believe that they're truly on the right path to do that. You just have to give them time. And I know that's the biggest thing today, is people are so impatient. So impatient. They need that instant gratification immediately, or it's a scam. And that's just not how long-term investing works. If you believe and you think like that, you're always going to sell yourself short. You're always going to sell out of something before the good news actually happens, because you're so stuck on the negative. And you're just going to be persuaded by all the negativity out here in the markets. When true long-term investors, they put their blinders on, they make the bets that they're convicted in. They don't listen to all the outside noise and bullshit. They do their own research, and if they hear something that affects their thesis, then they are grown enough and mentally strong enough to make their own decisions. They don't need somebody else to tell them what to do, or they don't need somebody else persuading them with their thoughts on something, right? That's the whole point of this channel, and that's the whole point of what I'm trying to explain here. I want people to be able to be mentally tough enough to make their own decisions and not be following and persuaded by other factors of the market. Because 90% of the time, if you are going to sell yourself short. 95% of the time. Because it takes a strong thesis, a strong conviction, and a strong mindset to be able to hold through all the negativity in an early company that's pre-revenue and pre-partnership deals and everything. Because there's going to be a lot of bad times. There's going to be a lot of negative news. There's going to be a lot of people that don't believe in what KEEL Infrastructure is trying to do. But that's where the opportunity lies, because that's how markets are made. You have the sellers and you have the buyers. You have the negative and you have the positive. That's how markets work. And if you find a company that you see the people out there saying, well, they're not going to be able to do that, but you think they will be able to do that and achieve that, that's where you place your bets. Because somebody's going to be wrong regardless. It's either going to be the people that believe in the company or the people that don't believe in the company. One of the two is going to be right. Both of them can't be right, but one will be. You have a 50-50 chance, which are pretty good odds. Pretty good odds. So anyway, guys, that really wraps up in a nutshell. These polls really opened my eyes to, it's good to see that people are still investing in it for the long term, but you still have a half, damn near 40% of people, 30% of people that are, not in it for the long term. And I just really want to get through to some people that you could really sell yourself short on that if you're just invested for one lease deal announcement. So just go over your thesis, go, rethink everything. Are you just in it for a 50% gain? Are you just in it for a quick 30-40% gain? Or are you in this thing to potentially see it through to where this thing's sitting at $20, $30, $40 in the future? Because I truly, truly, truly believe It can get there with time. But that's the number one thing it's going to take is time. So, hope you all enjoyed the video. Please consider hitting that like, hit the subscribe. Leave some comments down below. Let me know y'all's thoughts on the KEEL Infrastructure trade. And guys, we're almost to the monetization levels of 4,000 watch hours. I appreciate all the support so far. It's been incredible. So, we'll see you on the next one. Y'all be safe.